everyone. Welcome to my show, The Path of Me. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and today we have the beautiful Christie Gunter with China Baroque, which is an incredible store in the Houston area. Welcome, Christie. Thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Wendy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I wanted to tell everybody what China Baroque is about, and then we'll kind of backtrack and talk about what finally got you here to this beautiful brick and mortar store.
Okay. Do you want me to go? You want me to start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tell my story.
Yes, tell your story.
So China Baroque has been in business since the late 90s. We have been transforming broken dishes into beautiful pieces of jewelry for that long. We started out, as a lot of small businesses do, in our garage with very little education, tools, or know-how. And we just, over the years, have mastered the art of cutting and grinding china and designing on china. And then that's kind of where our expertise ends. From that point, we send off our raw cut ceramics to our wonderful artisans on the beautiful island of Bali, who then set our jewelry or our ceramics into little works of art for us. And it's a labor of love that we started, back in the 90s. It was my mother-in-law, Alex Ann, my sister-in-law, Erica, and myself.
Whose idea was it originally to?
Actually, the idea has been around since the Ming Dynasty. So
wow.
We can't take credit for the idea. It's a really old art form. And my mother-in-law came up with the idea to create our own version of the art using sterling silver as opposed to a hand soldered look that you'll see out there today. We wanted to bring our art to another level and have it made in, with using a precious metal as opposed to, like I said, a hand soldered sort of look. And we enlisted the help of these artisans that we still use today to help us create the beautiful pieces that we have now. And again, the art of, the learning how to use the saw and learning how to cut and learning how to grind and all those things that come along with that is something we learned ourselves and taught ourselves and just kind of honed our skills over the years. And now, we have people that help us do that so we can be out selling our pieces and sharing our craft with the world.
Yeah, so tell me what your website is. So if people are interested in going to buy online, because not everyone's in Houston, Texas.
Sure.
Do you sell online or is it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So our website is www.chinabaroque, BAROQUE.com.
Okay.
You can see a lot of our pieces there, but one thing to keep in mind is everything is one of a kind. So we have one of everything that's online, plus we have hundreds more in our store that we just can't physically put online, every single piece. But so if you see, let's say you see a beautiful black and white pendant, but maybe it's not the shape that you want. Well, you can contact us and we can share pictures with you of the other black and white pieces that we have that might be more to your liking than what's actually online. So there's a lot of back and forth that we do with our customers because we have so many customers from all over the country that we have to communicate with that unfortunately, we can't put every single piece online. So it's it's easy for us, via computer, email, text to show them other pieces.
People can also bring their own china into the store, right? And create.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Heirloom pieces.
Oh, yes. So let's say, you have grandmother's favorite dish and it just happens to break and you're devastated and you just don't have the heart to throw it out. Well, that's where we come in, and we can help create a stunning keepsake for you that you can also pass down just like you would a piece of china.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back to the beginning for you. What were you doing before you jumped on this jewelry design
Oh my gosh.
freight train?
My background, I spent a lot of time in retail. And so that kind of helped me in the sales part of it. And then for the past, before I really jumped into this, probably about 10 years prior to that, I was doing accounting.
Imagine you as an accountant.
Yeah, I know. But it helped me on the business side, and I could do the bare minimum. I could do all of our bookkeeping, and then when it got really to the heavy duty part of it, that's when the accountants came in. But I could get our profit and loss statements and enter in all of our expenses,
all that fun stuff.
All the fun stuff. And then so that helped. I mean, the sales and the business background kind of helped me kind of know where to eventually take the business.
Sure.
And then learning about and finding out about this whole little market of shows that are all over. There's so many more now than there were, 20 years ago when I started this. But now there's a show just about every weekend if you wanted to do that.
So you're taking your merchandise on the road as well?
Yes. I'm like, I might call myself a gypsy sometimes. Traveling with my wares from city to city and town to town, and but it's fun because I meet a wide variety of people, and that's really how we got our name established, is going to the same shows year after year, and establishing that clientele, because this is the kind of jewelry that you can't buy just one piece. And even if you don't buy every single year that you might see us at a show, you still have to look to see what we have, because it changes drastically from year to year, because our china is constantly changing, because it's a treasure hunt for me to go out and find the old dishes and to see what really, sparks my interest, and I think that our customers would love to see. So every year it's completely different.
Have you always been so creative? You have this creative genius. I've been in your store when you're putting pieces together and creating designs. And is that something that was always in you, or did it just kind of get fostered and grow over time?
I think it kind of got fostered. I've always wanted my own store. I never envisioned it to be the way it is today. I was more of a clothes person. I mean, I loved fashion and always have. And so that's kind of what I envisioned. But this is kind of that version, but, with jewelry instead of clothes. And I always wanted to, I kind of always dreamed of owning my own business. I just didn't know where and how.
So how did you end up becoming a standalone business owner? You started out with a partnership. So what happened there?
So about 4 years ago, my sister-in-law decided that she wanted to take her career in a different path. She's always been into fitness, and she started taking classes and becoming an instructor, and just decided that that's where her heart was. And so we made the decision to to go our separate ways, and for me to take over the business. So it kind of opened the door for me to take it really in whatever direction I wanted to. And at the time, my son was just about a senior in high school. And I thought, well, I don't want to travel as much, because I want to be there for him for his last year of high school. And so I thought, well, if I open a retail store, I'll be more, likely to be in just one place, as opposed to traveling all around to sell my jewelry. And, but, as luck would have it, or should I say as unluck would have it, I decided to open my store during probably the worst economic turn in history. And that didn't happen exactly as I planned. And, they say the best laid plans. Well, my plans were laid out, but they just didn't quite happen for me like I had wanted. So I continued to travel and still and maintain the store and just, worked on tons of advertising and marketing campaigns to try to draw customers to the store. But one thing I did learn is even though you've been in business for as long as I had before I opened my store, it's almost like starting over. When you move from one location to another and you take on a new kind of direction, it's like starting over. And so that was a big learning experience for me at that time.
How did you guys find your supplier or manufacturer in Indonesia?
My mother-in-law, God bless her, she is a good researcher. And so she just made phone calls and there weren't, again, this is 20 years ago. This is before Google. This is before all these search engines out there. So we had to do a lot of, you could still search on the internet, but it was just a little bit, it was different. So she found him online and then, decided to, and she found others too, not just him. And so we sent off pieces to different factories to, and to see if they could do it, because China, it's not something you would normally work with. I mean, a lot of people probably thumbed their nose up and said, really? I can't do anything with China. That's not a stone. I mean, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so we sent off pieces to different factories. And then once we got them back, we kind of made the decision from there that this was the resource we wanted to go with, because the pieces were phenomenal. They were finished well, they looked beautiful, they were set well. It was almost perfection. So it was a no-brainer that was the route that we were going to go. And so we've been with them ever since. And I've actually over the years have thought, well, maybe we should have a backup plan. Well, I wasn't impressed with the quality or the turnaround, or, there's a lot of, oh yes, we can do that. We can do it in half the time. And well, you get what you pay for, because
the reality isn't what they're saying.
It is not. So that's just kind of why we've stayed with the same group that we have. And I've traveled to Bali and met with the factory, and
what was that like?
Oh, it was amazing. It's a beautiful island, beautiful culture. It's everything that it looks like on TV. Very, very tropical and hot. But just there's something about that culture that's just amazing. And these people they're just proud to be who they are, whether they're at the top of the food chain or they have, it's the low income. It doesn't matter. They just have this balance and
spirit
about them that I just can't explain. And I really, really enjoyed my visit. I can't wait to go back. Will I look at other factories possibly? Sure. But it takes, it's not one of those things that you can just knock on someone's door and say, hey, can you make this for me?
Right.
You have to kind of, ease your way in and find someone that you can trust, or find someone who knows someone, that's trustworthy. So
I want to ask you about who you've become through this entire journey. There's been quite an evolution, I'm sure. You've started in the 90s, did the Christie, 2018 in the store. I can only imagine what that journey's been like, and I'm wondering if you could speak to that a little bit.
Sure. So I've always been confident. I'm the youngest of 4 kids, and I have always set my own path. Very different than my siblings. And I can say that the one thing for sure is that I've learned a tremendous amount about my strengths and my weaknesses through this journey. I'm not as smart as I thought I was, but I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was.
Right.
There's a lot of ups and downs, and it's one of those things that you just don't have the ability to sit in the corner and cry about things that aren't going your way. You have to figure out a way to lift yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back to work, because there's no one's going to do it for you. And so I've learned a lot about how to manifest some of the hard times into, okay, this is, it's time to get stronger. It's time to pick your head up. It's time to lift yourself up and realize you've accomplished something great. And just because things aren't 100% perfect right now doesn't mean that, you give up. And so, and giving up and failure it's just not an option for me. So I think going in with that attitude made a big difference, because it means that I'm going to do anything I can to make my business succeed.
So there's like a tenacity in you, I think, like a fighting spirit. Like I'm not dropping out ever.
I always say I have fire in my belly.
I would have to agree there.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
I'm still making mistakes on a daily basis, and I'm still learning on a daily basis. And I think if that ever ends, then it's time to, hang up my coat, because I'm done. But I just don't see that happening. I crave learning things and figuring things out. And, sometimes it's just figuring things out on my own. Right. There's not always someone to call and ask, or you can't afford to call and ask. And so, you have to kind of figure some of those things out on your own.
I'm curious, for the listeners, what's in your survival toolbox, Christie?
Oh gosh.
I mean, I know you cannot be in business and be a business owner without having gone through really huge highs, and then just some deep lows. Mm-hmm. And so what has been in your toolbox to help you get up and keep taking the next step and just chipping away at it and reinventing yourself? Is it something internal that's driving you? Is it a personal practice or attitude? Is it just a mental place you put yourself in and you double down? I mean, what is it that helps you through those really tough times?
Well, first of all, I would say that I have a wonderful support system. My husband, my friends, my family, you, Wendy, and just realizing that things could always be worse. Mm-hmm. And I just have this belief that, if you believe you cannot fail, then you cannot fail. And you just have to believe that, this too shall pass. And I've said that so many times. I've also said, I'm going to look back on this in like 6 months and I'm going to be laughing about it. And some things that has actually happened. And then other things I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm still waiting for that to be funny, because it's not. But, I think it's just, I don't know. I think just even since, since I was a kid, I just kind of had this don't give up, keep pushing forward mentality, whether it's, my work ethic, my marriage, my raising my child, running my business. It's just, You're
a tough cookie. You're a survivor.
I am. You
really are. And speaking of that, your son just recently enlisted. What was that like for you, sending your freshly graduated son off to boot camp? Tell me about that and what that was like for you as a mom.
It was one of, if not the hardest things I ever had to do. you know, you raise your children for the very moment that they leave the nest. And I had prepared him for college. I had not prepared him or myself for the possibility of going into the military. So he knew how to cook, he knew how to clean, he knew how to really, be an adult. I mean, I was perfectly satisfied with the fact that he would go off on his own and he could survive. College, not the military. Did I say that?
Different experience.
Totally different experience. And so it was kind of something that came on suddenly. And so I didn't have a lot of time to really digest that situation.
Maybe it had to be that fast.
Well, and now, yes, looking back, I think that was probably better, that it was a quick decision and I didn't have a lot of time to try to change his mind, even though I did many times.
Right. Once you sign on the dotted line, you're in, right?
I know, yeah. And that's exactly what I told him. Like, once this happens, that's it. There's no turning back. There's no calling me in, a week, 2 weeks, a month and saying, I don't want to do this anymore. This is a commitment. But he's doing amazingly well. He graduates in about 18 days.
Ooh, are you going to go to his?
Yeah, of course.
Graduation, awesome.
Yes, so I'm really excited to see him, and he's actually done with boot camp. He's now in what they call advanced individual training, and learning his actual skill, which is he's training to be a combat engineer. And don't ask me what that all entails.
I have no idea what that means, but somebody out there does.
Somebody out there does.
I'm sure it's important.
Yes, it's very important. It's also very dangerous too.
I know, as a mom, that's got to be kind of stressful for you. But you must be feeling so much pride just to know, committed to it. He finished. He's on his way, and it's going to be a proud moment when you see him. At the ceremony.
I don't know that I'm going to let go. That's all I can say is
you better take some Kleenex.
Absolutely. Waterproof mascara, Kleenex, all of it. Yeah.
And he's your only child, so to send him off must have been very heartbreaking, but then also a proud moment.
Absolutely. Getting through the first month was probably the hardest. And then he was able to call me on Mother's Day. He was able to call my husband on Father's Day. And then we've been able to communicate at least once a week on the phone.
Great.
And we've written letters and all that stuff. So, of course, you're checking the mail on a regular basis going, okay, there's a letter in there. So I'm sure he's probably doing the same thing, too, because he's over there. I at least have, I'm home. I can call and visit and, any of my friends or family that I want, but he can't do that. So he's probably way more alone than we do. So, I'm sure it was helpful for, all of our friends and family to, write in letters and communicate with them. So,
our lives never, I lost you for a second.
Sorry.
Our lives never really go exactly as we plan. We have plans for our kids, we have plans for our business, we have plans for ourselves, and our lives are just so unpredictable, and you have just shown this incredible resilience, and you have this beautiful heart and this fire and creativity in you, and I just admire you so much. I just admire you so much to carry this business, that you've created. You took a chance and you opened this gorgeous brick and mortar store. If you live in the Houston, Texas area, you must go by China Baroque. It's on Frostwood, and it's just a beautiful store. Any holiday, any gift idea, go check it out. It's worth your time. So I just want to
agree more.
What?
I said I couldn't agree more.
Or get online. Shop online if you can't get down there. But Christie, what's it been like? You've been having to not only create this jewelry and run this business, but you've also had to come up with these design concepts for your booths. You do a huge booth at the rodeo every year. Do you have any help with that, or is that all you just getting creative and putting your booth displays together? And
Well, I kind of am the gatherer of all the materials, if you will. And then I've got some great girls that work for me that help me kind of bring it all together. But I have to admit, don't tell anybody, but I'm a shopaholic. So I'm always, part of it too is I'm always looking for inspiration. So whether it be I'm looking for a jewelry design inspiration, or I'm looking for a, interior design inspiration for the store, or a booth design, I'm just always looking for inspiration. And I do have a lot of help, and, but most everything is my original idea that I just kind of, or something else has inspired me, and then I've taken it and kind of tweaked it and made it my own. So, I didn't know that I had a love for interior decorating until I opened the store and designed the store. And so, and I love decorating at home too, but my home looks nothing like my store. So it's just a different outlet, a different creative outlet for me.
how do you find and carve out time for yourself with this demanding? She laughs. She's like, "What are you talking about?" Really. And I'm sorry, I'm distracted. This Texas heat has just turned my hair into this expanding ball of frizz.
No, I was telling you earlier, I had curls in my hair.
So anybody watching the show, if you stick with me through the winter, the hair is going to get a little bit better, a little more tamed. But my question was really, how have you maintained your vision? Your market is constantly evolving. Your business is constantly evolving. Are you kind of just going day to day, or do you have some long range plans for where you want to go personally and professionally with this?
Right now I'm committed, obviously 150% to the store. But I'm always open to new ideas and new possibilities, whether it would be traveling more and farther than I've ever traveled before, or, trying different avenues of selling. We do wholesale as well, so we do sell to stores. I've kind of gotten away from really pushing that, but that's still definitely one of the things that we offer. Right now I'm just kind of taking things one day at a time. And, I look about 3 to 6 months in the future, because I know that, in 3 months, 4 months, I'll be starting my show season. So I always look ahead to that. And of course I have to plan ahead with regards to my jewelry, because it's not an overnight thing. If I don't plan well, then my shows aren't successful and my seasons aren't successful, because I didn't do my homework and plan ahead. So it's been a learning experience, and it's taking every year I relook at how I decide how many pieces of jewelry we need to make ahead of time. To be
it has to be pretty far in advance, because it's like a 6-week production.
It's more like 12. More like 12.
Wow, so you already have to be kind of planning your Christmas holiday season out now. It's
absolutely
June.
So I know that I have so much coming, back in August, so much coming back in September, so much coming back in October, and so on and so forth. So I have a production schedule. So I know that in order to have, and then for the first half of the year, I plan from January. For the last half of the year, I start from December and go backwards, so that I know, okay, as of November 1, I have to send my jewelry off by, let's say, June 15th to have it back by November 1st. So it's a kind of the game of, watching the calendar and just really knowing, the timelines of when things need to be back in my hands so that I can have a successful show if it's, 3 months from the time that it's sent to the factory. So it's just learn, I had to learn how to.
So there isn't a whole lot of time for Christie probably and all of that. It sounds like it's a pretty full on.
It is. And I work, 5 to 6 days a week. Sometimes during show season, I work, I've been known to work 20 something days in a row, depending on my show schedule. Sundays are my me time. I rarely book anything on a Sunday, unless it's brunch with my girlfriends. But Sundays are kind of the day that I just wind down and just kind of reload, just kind of get all my thoughts and my
Come back to center.
Yeah, come back to center and just, just kind of, get my focus back for what I need to do and what I need to accomplish for the, the upcoming week. And look back on what things that I could have done differently. And, every week is a new experience. And
What excites you about your business and your life? What's exciting for you right now?
There's several things. I love designing. So when I, come across a piece of china that just really gets me going, it's very exciting. Mm-hmm. I love getting in our jewelry in, since it's been gone for 3.5 months in Bali. When we get it, we finally get it back, it's like Christmas morning. Yeah. So you forget, oh my gosh, I forgot about that, or I forgot about that. And it just, I don't know, just seeing it come to life it's just amazing. And then seeing one of the things that really excites me is working with other people's china and not only seeing the end result, but watching their reaction to seeing the end result is so exciting. So cool. And it's extremely rewarding. Because that china meant a lot to them. I mean, it's a material thing, but it might have been something that, it reminded them every day of a childhood memory or grandmother or, mom or sister, and so it's a way to kind of, bring your family, together to distribute the pieces or surprise them with, something they didn't know was coming from.
It's a great way to kind of memorialize or commemorate the history of your family. Yes. I love that you can take a broken piece and salvage that and create something beautiful.
Yes.
So that's amazing, I hope people out there will consider contacting you or shopping online, especially if they have a like a beautiful custom piece that they don't know what to do with.
Right.
You can create some magic with it. So I encourage you all who are watching to contact Christie and talk to her about what they can do with your china. They have everything. They have earrings, pendants, bracelets,
belt buckles.
I know.
Belt buckles, Christmas ornaments, napkin rings.
There's so much you can do, right?
Yes. And a lot of our ideas are born from things customers ask us to create for them. I mean, yes, there are limits, but if I think it's doable, I will certainly give it a try.
Yeah. So, I think it's important for people to know where you're located. So I know you're off the 10 freeway, and we'll put your address down below. So people who are in the Houston, Texas area or outlying areas that want to take a little road trip down and visit the store, what's your address?
So our address is 879 Frostwood Drive. We are at the corner of Frostwood and Kings Ride, and we're about a block west of Memorial City Mall. So we're in between like Beltway 8 and Gessner, if that helps.
Mm-hmm. You're right off not too far off the 10.
Nope, we're like 1 block from I-10, behind Memorial Hermann Hospital.
And I'll put that address down for those of you who missed it. I'll put it below as you're watching the video. So Christie, I just want to tell you how much I admire you. Being a female business owner, you know, balancing your work and family all these years, having the courage to open this gorgeous brick and mortar store, and having weathered so much in your business, and you're still standing, girl. You still have shows ahead of you. I know you've had some successful shows recently, and rodeo was fabulous. If you guys come to the Texas Rodeo, look for Christie. She always has a great booth every year. How many years have you been, you know, doing the rodeo?
Next year will be 16 years, I think. Since 2000, I think it's been since 2003. So yeah, long time.
I can't believe that. Wow.
Yep.
So I'm just curious if you have any words of wisdom for people who are trying to find the courage to start something. You know, they have a little passion or fire burning in their heart, and they want to start a business of their own, but they're maybe afraid, or they're worried about the capital expense. Of course, our mind will talk us out of anything, right? Our minds are so good at talking us out of things, not so good at talking us into taking a chance and taking a risk. And do you have any, you know, words of wisdom for some of those people out there who want to start something that they feel very passionate about?
Well, I will say that there are so many more tools available to answer questions, do research, than I had 20 years ago. So you have way more opportunities to learn, to ask questions. So take advantage of that. I would say, you know, join a good networking group, maybe for small business owners, to get your, just to, you know, or your chamber of commerce for that reason, for that matter, you know, just to meet other small business owners. And, you know, it's not, there's going to be hurdles, and nothing's going to be laid out for you, and, you know, you're just going to have this master plan and it's all going to work out.
Right.
But, you know, if you really, really, really want to do what your heart tells you, you know, is your path, then you will figure it out. But you have to believe that you can do it, and use any resources out there, because there are a lot of resources out there, from, you know, SBA loans. You know, I will say this, one of the things that, you know, I learned is to, you know, talk to your, you know, let's say you want a loan. Okay. Let's just throw that out there. Let's say you need to borrow money to kind of get your business off the ground. Talk to a personal business banker. Make a connection. I would advise using a smaller local bank to kind of get started. There's a lot less red tape that you have to go through. And just, you know, get your friends and family involved, and make a plan. Write it out. You know, a business plan is always a great place to start. Just, you know, and follow your heart, and listen to your inner, you know, that inner fire in your belly. Just listen.
I think the main thing is just to start.
Right. You have to start somewhere.
You have to actually take a step, even if it's just writing that business plan, or putting your ideas on paper, or making that jewelry, even though you're not quite ready to sell it or market it. But just begin, right? Just take the first step, and then it leads to the next step and the next step, and pretty soon here you are, owning a brick and mortar store like Christie Gunter, called China Baroque. Right?
China Baroque. That's me.
I love the name. Who named it?
Okay, this is funny. So it was, and I hope she doesn't kill me for saying this, but it's my sister-in-law's ex-boyfriend came up with the name, believe it or
Really?
not. They were just sitting around, tossing up names, and he said, well, what about China Baroque? And it just kind of
Stuck.
stuck. So, but it's, it's a play on words, of course.
Mhm.
And it's, people have fun with it. They get a kick out of it. So, yeah.
Totally. Well, do you have any parting words, Christy, before we wrap this up? It has been so awesome talking to you. Do you have any last few words of wisdom or anything you want to share before we sign off?
I would just say, don't give up. It's not, again, it's not always going to be easy, but if you really want it, if it were easy, everyone would do it. And nothing easy is worth having. I'm just going to leave it at that.
That's perfect. So I just want to thank all of you for tuning in today to this beautiful conversation with Christie Gunter. I'm Wendy Hutchinson with The Path of Me. Please subscribe, like, and share. And I hope you have a beautiful day and hope to see you next time. Thank you.